Good morning. It's Monday, 7 a.m. here in South Korea. You're watching Arirang News with me, Oh Soo-young. We begin with the coronavirus situation in the nation. Instead of getting better as many had hoped in light of the vaccination rollout, fears are mounting here in South Korea of a possible fourth wave as new daily cases have remained above 500 for several days in a row now. Kim Da-mi reports.
Voicing concerns a fourth wave of the pandemic may be near, South Korea's Health Minister Kwon Duk-chul is urging citizens once again to cooperate and strictly follow quarantine measures. During a national briefing Sunday, Kwon said the daily number of infections could even exceed 1,000 before too long. Noting that the movement of people has risen during the warmer spring weather, he pressed citizens in South Korea to cancel all non-essential meetings. As the country's vaccination program speeds up this month, the health minister also strongly encouraged all people to get vaccinated for themselves and for their loved ones. In fact, the third wave that started last mid-November is still ongoing. Despite fewer tests being conducted over the weekend, South Korea on Sunday still reported 543 new cases of COVID-19. The daily figure has been in the 500 range for 5 straight days, a first for South Korea in nearly 3 months. While over 60% of the new cases were from the Greater Seoul area, infections were also scattered nationwide. The southern city of Busan confirming 60, Daejeon, a city in central Korea, reporting 28. In the meantime, financial aid for parental leave during the pandemic will continue this year. Starting Monday, parents who have to take leave from work to look after children 8 or younger can apply for aid worth up to some $500. To lessen the burden on workers on unpaid leave, the Labor Ministry started the support last March and has decided to extend it into this year as well. Parents who meet the criteria can sign up on the Labor Ministry's website or visit their local employment center to apply. Kim Da-mi, Arirang News.
Some more COVID-19 related news to take a look at in South Korea on Monday. Starting this week, anyone in violation of COVID-19 prevention measures at public facilities will face a fine of some $2,600 for business owners and $880 for customers. Facilities must be frequently disinfected and a thorough track of entry logs must be kept. And individuals must write their information or submit a QR code rather than one person in the group representatively providing the information. People are also banned from eating in public places, including sports arenas, museums, private cram schools and saunas, unless the facility has designated areas for eating. A number of countries around the world have made the decision to put lockdown measures in place over the Easter weekend. This comes as the number of virus cases globally continues to surge. Lee Seung-jae takes a look at the situation across the world.
With millions across Europe set to mark Easter Sunday under new lockdown measures, France and Italy have reimposed lockdowns. Over in France, as the country entered its third national COVID-19 lockdown, thousands of police officers were deployed across Paris on Sunday. This comes as the government announced last week that alcohol consumption in certain public areas would be banned. Police were seen handing out fines to people who did not wear masks or were consuming alcohol in places designated as high risk. However, churches were allowed to open and people are allowed to share an Easter meal at home with 2 other adults. Over in Italy, all regions are now in the red zone, the highest tier of restrictions, with the country facing a third wave of the virus. The country is seeing about 20,000 new cases a day, and all non-essential movement is now banned. With the 3-day nationwide lockdown in place since Saturday, St. Peter's Square was left empty for the second Easter in a row. Over in India, a number of states are now in lockdown as the country sees a huge resurgence in virus cases. On Sunday, the country reported 93,249 cases, as well as 513 deaths. The figure is the highest single-day spike since September. Ontario, which is Canada's most populous province, entered another lockdown, which will last for 28 days. The latest measures will still allow both essential and non-essential retailers to remain open, but with occupancy limits. Ontario, which had a month-long lockdown in December, has seen more than 2,000 cases a day, with a record number of patients in intensive care. Health experts warn warmer weather and more movement among people have led to a further spike in cases globally and could lead to further lockdown measures in other countries moving forward. 이승재, Arirang News.
Pope Francis emphasized solidarity from the international community and the need for universal vaccine access in response to COVID-19. In his Easter message on Sunday, Francis called for, as he put it, the spirit of global responsibility and urged countries to ensure that COVID-19 vaccines reach the world's poorest nations. He also noted that with the pandemic continuing to spread, the social and economic impact has been severe, especially for the poor. The pontiff added that for everyone, especially the most vulnerable, need assistance and have the right to essential care. The Easter papal service was attended by fewer than 200 worshippers inside St. Peter's Basilica and was broadcast around the world. A US-based think tank forecasts the world economy will grow 5.6% in 2021. The outlook by the Peterson Institute for International Economics is 0.9 percentage points higher than its last forecast of 4.7% made in October last year. It now projects the US economy to grow 6.3%, China 8.5%, and India 10.5% in 2021. However, projections were lowered for most of the Eurozone as well as Japan, Russia, and Brazil. The Institute forecasts the global economy to grow 4.4% in 2022. South Korea's shipyard industry is quickly rebounding from the pandemic-linked turmoil. Local shipbuilders won 10 times more orders in the first quarter than they had for the same period last year. With the recovery, the country has secured #1 position in the global shipbuilding industry, our Choi Min-jung reports.
South Korean shipbuilders won 10 times more orders in the first quarter than they had for the same period last year, signaling recovery from the pandemic-hit shipyard industry. According to data released on Sunday by global market researcher Clarkson Research Service, local shipbuilders sealed orders for 126 ships, or around 5.3 million compensated gross tons, between January and March this year. This is tenfold the CGTs mustered over the first quarter of 2020, which stood at 550,000. South Korea took position as the world's #1 in global shipbuilding orders for the first quarter. During the 3-month period, new orders for South Korean shipbuilders accounted for more than half of all global orders. A year back, the share was at 14% due to the COVID-19 outbreak. According to the Ministry of Trade, Industry, and Energy, the number of deals for this year's first quarter hit its highest in 13 years, after the industry boomed between 2006 and 2008. Amid the recovery, the big 3 local shipbuilders fared well in the January-March period. Korea Shipbuilding and Offshore Engineering achieved 37% of its annual order target by clinching orders worth $5.5 billion. Samsung Heavy Industries sealed $5.1 billion worth of fresh orders, and Daewoo Shipbuilding and Marine Engineering $1.8 billion. Watchers say the recovery of the shipyard industry is mainly due to orders delayed last year due to the pandemic, but also because of increasing demand for local, eco-friendly ships. Choi Min-jung, Arirang News.
More cases of violence against Asian Americans are being reported in the United States. Reports say a 24-year-old African American man wielding a metal post trashed a Korean-owned convenience store in North Carolina last week. The Korean-American owner said the man called him Chinese and told him to go back to his own country. In Washington state, a 15-year-old has been arrested for allegedly assaulting a Korean couple in an attack that was caught on video. The teen appears to punch the man, leaving him with broken ribs and bruises to his face. Thousands of Myanmar's anti-coup protesters took to the streets on Sunday, holding painted Easter eggs in a nod to the Christian holiday. The eggs bore slogans such as Spring Revolution and We Must Win, as well as drawings of the 3-finger salute against the military junta who seized control of the country on February 1st. Despite international outrage, security forces continue to arrest and open fire on protesters. According to activist group, the Assistance Association for Political Prisoners, over 2,600 people are currently detained and 564 people have been killed in violent crackdowns since the start of the coup. Private details of more than 530 million Facebook users have been found online on a hacker website. According to Business Insider, the exposed data contains information from 106 countries and includes phone numbers, Facebook IDs, full names, locations, birth dates, and email addresses. Experts say the leaked data, although appearing to be a few years old, could provide valuable information to cybercriminals. That's all the news we have for you this Monday morning. We will be back though at noon Korea time with updates on these stories and more. Bye for now.
As the weather warms,